At a high school in the United States, a cheerleader called Tammy is rehearsing a new routine with her classmates. In the middle of rehearsal, her new boyfriend, Michael, shows up to take her to sociology class. On the way, the couple meet Byron, a friend of the girls who is happy that Tammy is in a new relationship after the problems she had with her ex. Suddenly, the guy, called Billy, shows up with his gang and takes Michael to task, telling him to stay away from the girl. The youngster isn't intimidated and the two start a fight at school, exchanging punches and kicks. Michael gets the upper hand in the fight, but Billy lands a low blow and grabs his rival's sore spot. Michael pays the price and strikes back, with the two of them fighting over who will feel the most pain. In the middle of the fight, two policemen interfere and take Billy into custody, because they see that he started the whole mess. The guy promises to take revenge on Michael, who doesn't mind the threats, but Tammy gets angry at him for getting involved in the fight and leaves. Far away, in a secret laboratory, a mad scientist called Dr. Walkenstein tests his newest creation, a robotic Tyrannosaurus Rex. Using computer commands, the creature can move and its bite is unusually strong. However, the robot has yet to be given consciousness and the ability to move on its own, so Dr. Walkenstein plans to connect the dinosaur to a human brain. When evening comes, Michael is in his room and receives a call from Tammy, apologizing for what happened. In addition, she invites him to spend the night together and the young man, without thinking twice, takes his car and drives to his girlfriend's house. Michael reaches Tammy's room by climbing over the wall, but before he knows it, two of Billy's friends are passing by. While the couple reconcile and enjoy a romantic moment, the girls hurry to tell Billy everything. Minutes later, the guy breaks into the girl's house with his gang and forces his way into Tammy's room. The girl tells her boyfriend to get out of the window, but Billy sees that Michael is running away and they all get in their cars and chase him down the road. Michael runs as far as he can into the woods, but is hit by Billy's henchman with a baseball bat. With the young man lying on the ground, the whole gang starts attacking him, but Billy isn't satisfied with this and has even worse plans for his rival. He then takes him into the trunk of his car and breaks into the wild animal park. Finally, Billy leaves Michael alone in the middle of the forest and drives off, with the place surrounded by hungry predators. Without knowing where he is, Michael tries to find his way back, only to come up against a huge lion, which is charging towards him. The young man tries to escape by climbing a tree, only to find a panther about to attack him. Michael is then forced to climb down from the tree, but the lion jumps on him and starts biting him mercilessly. Luckily, the ranger sees everything and, with his shotgun, he shoots the predator and calls an ambulance to save the young man. The next morning, Tammy finds out what happened and goes to the hospital with Byron. When she gets to the room, she finds Michael unconscious, along with his uncle Bob, who is unconscious in the chair next to him because he's been drinking all night. Shortly afterwards, Billy and his henchmen discover that Michael is still alive and go to his room to finish the job. Meanwhile, Tammy steps in to protect her boyfriend, kicking her ex to the curb and telling him to get out of her life for good. Billy again vows revenge and leaves, just as Dr. Walkenstein and his assistant, Helga, arrive at the hospital. The scientist disguises himself as a neurosurgeon and says he has come to see patients who can come out of a coma. Dr. Jerry then talks about his patient, Michael, who has been in a coma for 15 hours, but his brain is intact. Seeing the opportunity to finish the experiment, the scientist goes to Michael's room and tells Tammy and Byron that he will take care of him. While he is explaining everything to them, Helga deactivates the heart rate monitor and warns them that Michael is having a heart attack. She and the scientist pretend to do a heart massage and breathing techniques, until they declare that the patient hasn't resisted. Tammy and Byron faint with grief at the news and Helga takes the opportunity to put the patient on a stretcher. Just as she's about to run off with Michael's body, Uncle Bob wakes up and, although he finds the whole thing strange, he just takes another sip of drink and goes back to sleep in his chair. Helga and the doctor then take Michael to his car, but the young man wakes up from his coma. The doctor quickly injects him with a sleeping pill, but the young man wakes up seconds later, saying he had a very strange dream. Helga then decides to put him to sleep in a more effective way and punches the man in the face, leaving him unconscious. Finally, they take him by car to the secret laboratory, where the scientist's evil experiment is about to begin. With the help of his assistants, Carl and Bobby, the doctor begins the brain removal surgery. However, as soon as the procedure begins, Michael wakes up again, not knowing what's going on. Helga soon puts him to sleep with another punch and, using a saw, the scientist removes half of Michael's head and takes out his brain. Dr. Walkenstein then places the organ in a reservoir and connects it to the Tyrannosaurus Rex via power cables. After a few tests, the team is proud to have brought the robot dinosaur to life and, to celebrate, they order a pizza. As soon as the delivery man arrives at the lab, Michael's mind wakes up and the dinosaur moves, causing the guy to run away scared. Bobby and Carl hear his screams and go to check what's happened, only to find the dinosaur motionless and the pizza lying on the ground. Although they find this strange, the two quickly ignore it, pick up their slices and go to eat next to Michael's body. In the middle of the meal, Carl goes to get a drink and Bobby decides to restore Michael's head, as he needs to take him back to the morgue. The dinosaur is furious that he's touching his body and threatens to attack him, but Michael still can't control his movements and the guy makes fun of the robot. To his misfortune, as soon as Bobby turns his back, the dinosaur attacks him with a bite and takes his head off. Afterwards, Michael goes to look in the mirror and realizes that he has now become a robotic T-Rex and plans to take revenge on all those responsible for this. Seconds later, Carl returns to the laboratory and, seeing his friend lying lifeless on the floor, he tries to tackle the dinosaur with the strength of his fists. However, the robot throws him away and finishes him off, crushing his body and head with its paws. Outside the laboratory, a lady who was at the payphone next door sees the Tyrannosaurus and runs away frightened. Even with his small hands, Michael manages to use the payphone to talk to Tammy, but she's not at home. Just then, a couple come out of a nearby bar and think that the dinosaur is just a doll. The two try to take a photo, but Michael scares them with his roar and sets off to find Tammy. The young woman is with Byron and a friend at the school party, but she can't forget the tragedy that happened to her boyfriend. To make matters worse, Billy also arrives at the party trying to get back together with Tammy, but she blames him for what happened to Michael and leaves. His friend Byron decides to stay a little longer and goes to get a drink, but feels a strong tremor around the house. Little does he know that the Tyrannosaurus Rex has just arrived and he sees that Billy is at the party, dancing with one of the girls who helped him attack Michael a few days ago. After the dance, the couple leave the party to make themselves more comfortable, while one of Billy's henchmen spots the dinosaur lying motionless in the middle of the bush. Believing it to be just a doll, the man does his business on its paw and, with one swipe of his claws, the monster rips the guy's body apart. After finishing him off, the dinosaur follows Billy to his car, where he and the girl are having a romantic moment. Suddenly, the young woman sees the dinosaur and screams in terror, but Michael has no mercy and pulls the girl by the leg with his jaws. On seeing the monster, Billy runs scared back to the party and tries to warn everyone, but no one takes what he says seriously. However, everyone soon believes his words when the dinosaur appears behind him and destroys his head with one bite. In the midst of so much bloodshed, all the party guests run for their lives. In their midst, Michael encounters more of Billy's henchmen and uses his paws to make them stumble to the ground. In the midst of all this confusion, Byron also falls to the ground and the T-Rex advances towards him. But instead of attacking him, he lifts him up with his little arms and even fixes his clothes, proving that he still recognizes his girlfriend's friend. Afterwards, the dinosaur continues his quest for revenge and spots Billy's henchmen hiding under the car. The T-Rex then jumps on top of the vehicle and, with his weight, crushes the guys to pieces. Hours later, the police, led by Sheriff Black, arrive at the scene and everyone is shocked by the chaos caused by the creature's attack. While searching for witnesses, they find the DJ and his friend hiding under a table and ask what happened. The young woman, still frightened by what happened, says that it was a dinosaur that attacked them and, as expected, the police don't believe it. However, Byron, who is the sheriff's son, confirms the story to his father and reveals that, for some mysterious reason, the dinosaur didn't attack him. The investigations continue and, the next morning, Helga returns to the laboratory to check on the dinosaur. At the entrance, she finds Carl completely crushed on the floor, but the woman doesn't care and wraps his body up like a sheet. In addition to her, Dr. Walkenstein also appears and, although the dinosaur escaped, this only made him even prouder of his experiment. He believes he has finally created the perfect being, with the autonomy of a living being and the immortality of a robot. The scientist sees the dinosaur as a chance to become rich and famous, but before he does, he needs to hide all the evidence that incriminates him. To do this, he sends Helga to take the bodies to the morgue and tells her that the T-Rex has probably gone to look for Tammy, Michael's girlfriend. As he suspected, the dinosaur goes to the house of the young girl who, on seeing the huge T-Rex, screams in terror and ends up fainting. The girl's parents hear the scream and run to save her, but when they get to the bedroom, they find the place turned upside down, indicating that their daughter has been captured. Sometime later, Tammy wakes up in a barn with a huge T-Rex in front of her. He tries to communicate, but as he can no longer speak, the dinosaur uses mime to say that he is Michael, but his brain has been removed from his body and connected to the robot. Realizing that the T-Rex is telling the truth, Tammy hugs him and tells Michael that she still loves him, even though he's a robot dinosaur. At the same time, her parents call the police and Sheriff Black deduces that the young woman was captured by the same dinosaur from the party the night before. However, Tammy reappears at the side of the house and says that she had just gone out for a breather. She then meets Byron again and calls him to talk alone, as she has discovered that Michael is still alive and his brain has been put into a robot dinosaur. Byron believes his friend, as this explains why the dinosaur spared his life at the party. Now Tammy is determined to save her boyfriend and plans to take his body and put his brain back. His friend thinks it's a crazy idea, but decides to help her anyway, and the two of them plan to pick up the young man's body after the funeral. When it's time to bury Michael, Uncle Bob makes an emotional speech, leaving everyone moved, including the dinosaur, who watches everything from hidden in the cemetery. The priest then ends the funeral and everyone leaves, leaving only Byron, Tammy and Uncle Bob, who falls back into his chair drunk. With the way clear, the pair begin their plan, without suspecting that they are being watched by Dr. Walkenstein and Helga, in a truck parked next to the cemetery. Tammy jumps into the coffin to get the body back, but when she opens it, she sees that the body is already decomposing. The young woman despairs and Byron helps her out of there, but the two of them are attacked by surprise by Dr. Walkenstein and Helga. Seeing this, the dinosaur comes out of hiding, but the scientist orders him to follow him back to the lab, otherwise his girlfriend will be eliminated. However, Tammy knocks the mad scientist and his assistant into the grave and, together with Byron, she intends to force them to put Michael's brain into another body. The two then arrest the doctor and his assistant, take his truck and drive the dinosaur in the back to a morgue. When they get there, Tammy and Byron look for any preserved bodies, but most of them belong to middle-aged men. Not knowing which one to choose, the pair begin to take the bodies to the window and show them to Michael so that he can choose. Unfortunately, he doesn't like any of the suggestions and Byron suggests putting his brain in a female body, but neither Michael nor Tammy support the idea. Things only get worse when Dr. Walkenstein and Helga manage to escape from the car and run into a police vehicle. They call for help to capture the dinosaur and the rest of the youngsters, but Tammy and Byron run back to the truck and escape down the road, taking Michael with them. An intense chase begins in the city, with the police about to catch up with the truck. In a quick maneuver, Byron takes the truck on a detour and manages to lose the police. However, they report everything to Sheriff Black who, seeing his son in yet another problem, mobilizes the whole team to go after him. Meanwhile, Byron takes the truck to the field, but is soon followed by the sheriff and the rest of the police in their vehicles. The young man is then forced to take an alternative route and heads into the forest, with several trees surrounding the road. Because of its size, the dinosaur is hit by several of them and falls to the ground, completely destroying the body. Tammy runs to see if he's all right, but the police are getting closer and closer. To save time, Byron sends his friend and the dinosaur fleeing across the lake and stays to confront his father and explain everything that happened. As soon as Sheriff Black appears, Byron tells him about the experiment done on Michael and that his mind is now in the body of the robot dinosaur. For a change, his father doesn't believe the story and sends his men to capture the T-Rex, but it's already on the other side of the lake, carrying Tammy on its back. Seeing the creature for the first time, the sheriff calls for backup, but has no idea how he's going to explain the existence of a dinosaur. Later, Tammy and the T-Rex continue their escape back to the barn, where they decide to spend the night until they come up with a plan to resolve the whole situation. The next morning, Byron is released by his father and rides his bike to Tammy's hideout. Unbeknownst to him, Sheriff Black has sent the police to follow him and, as soon as they find the barn, they inform him of the dinosaur's location. In the meantime, Byron goes to find his friends, bringing them food and water so that they can hold out for a few more days. Tammy says she's still determined to find the scientist and transfer Michael's brain to another body, but within seconds, the entire estate is surrounded by police cars. Unable to escape, Byron and Tammy appear in front of the safe house with a white flag symbolizing a truce. The young man tries to explain the situation to his father once again, but again he doesn't listen and tells the police to take them back to the station. Hearing Tammy and Byron's screams, the dinosaur comes out of the barn and lets out a menacing roar. The cops then aim their guns to finish off the monster, but then Dr. Walkenstein appears, ordering no one to shoot, as the robot dinosaur is his property. Seeing the mad scientist, Tammy tells the sheriff that it was he who removed her boyfriend's brain and put it inside the T-Rex. The doctor denies everything, saying that the dinosaur is just a machine and there is nothing alive inside it. Not knowing who to believe, the sheriff tells the scientist to bring the dinosaur under control. Dr. Walkenstein promises to do so, saying that he will inject the creature with a sedative to calm it down and then take it back to the laboratory. On hearing this, Byron wonders how a sedative is going to work, since the dinosaur, in the doctor's words, is just a robot. Seeing that he has said more than he should, the scientist doesn't know how to explain and tries to make excuses, claiming that there are organic parts in the robot. Tammy and Byron insist that the scientist is lying, but the sheriff tells him to put an end to the dinosaur once and for all. The doctor then takes his rifle and heads for the barn, where the dinosaur is hiding, waiting for its prey. As Dr. Walkenstein enters the room with Helga, he sees the enormous T-Rex in front of him, thirsting for revenge. Before the villain can aim his weapon, the monster bites him and rips out his stomach without any difficulty. Shortly afterwards, he throws the scientist's parts in Helga's face, who desperately runs away. Faced with the attack on the doctor, the policemen waste no time and point their guns at the dinosaur, unloading all their ammunition. Michael tries to resist, but the shots destroy the robot dinosaur circuits and he falls to the ground, without the strength to continue. As soon as the police stop shooting, Tammy runs to help her boyfriend, but the T-Rex closes its eyes, indicating that the robot's connection to Michael's brain has been broken. Seeing the girl's sadness, Byron and the police are moved, but there is nothing more they can do. Days pass since the confrontation in the barn and Tammy returns home in her car. Her parents are surprised because, for some reason, she's happier than ever and rushes off to her room. Inside, she removes the cover from a video camera attached to the wall and calls out to her boyfriend, Michael. At the same moment, she hears his voice answering the call, and then it is revealed that Tammy has recovered the young man's brain and connected it to her personal computer. She also says that she will soon be going to the morgue again to get a body that matches her boyfriend's brain. Until then, the two enjoy their romantic moment in a different way, and Michael, seeing Tammy's beauty through the camera lens, can't wait to have a body again. So what did you think of this movie? Leave it in the comments below. And if you liked the video, like and subscribe for more movie recaps. See you next time.